Buddy, D-Tune Gloom here. I was having a shower thought just now, and I was thinking back to the band that got me in to synth. And this is a band that I'm almost positive nobody's ever heard of this band. And I'm not trying to sound like a hipster. I'm not trying to sound like, man, I listen to this band, they're obscure. And that's absolutely what this is going to sound like, but this is more of an ode to this band. And the reason, well, I'm going to have to take you guys back and tell the story of how I found the band. We're going to go all the way back about 15 years ago. I was around 15. My favorite person in the world is my uncle. You could just show up at his house and just not even, he lived down the street. I didn't have to tell him I was coming over. So I'm hanging out with him. We're having a barbecue or something. And we're hanging out outside in his garage. And he's like, man, you like music? Because I loved music back then, too. I was already playing guitar and writing songs back then. And he's like, you like music? You know what? We need to go look for something. So we go grab a ladder. We set it up. He climbs up into his attic. And he pulls out a bag, a Chicago Bears bag. Old, dirty, dusty, cobweb-covered bag. And he's like, let's take this inside. And we go in, we sit at his kitchen table. He opens up the bag and it's just full of old cassette tapes. Pink Floyd, I think Sly and the Family Stone was in there. Probably Led Zeppelin, shit like that. And I liked stuff like that back then, not so much now. And we're going through them and we're just hanging out. He's like, oh, I used to love this. He put on Echoes by Pink Floyd. And that's a crazy song. We listened to the whole thing and that song is long as fuck. I'm sure it was the whole side of the tape, and it was just blowing my mind. I'm loving all of this, and then he says, "Oh man, here's a tape I haven't heard in forever," something like that. And he grabs a tape and he shows it to me. He's like, "This band is called Invisible Gus," and I'm like, "Okay, I've never heard of them. I had heard of some of these bands, they were classic rock bands, but he said, let me tell you a story. This is a story within a story. He's a carpenter, and he was working up in Chicago. We live about an hour south of Chicago. And he heard this band jamming either in the same building or across the street or something. They were on lunch. They always heard this band jamming. These guys would come out and smoke cigarettes in between. They were either recording or practicing, one or the other. And it's 1985. And I can only imagine what these dudes must have looked like. I've got it pictured in my head, like flock of seagulls hair and, just freaky looking 80s people. My uncle's really good with people. He can just go up and start a conversation with anyone. And he's talking to the guys and they say, well, if you want to hear us, we got a tape for sale. So he said, yeah, you know what? I'll support you. I'll buy the tape. He buys the tape. Who knows? Probably went into his car, probably jammed it a few times, threw it in that bag, threw it somewhere. He moved, I don't know how many fucking times between then, 1985, I'm not even born yet. He moved how many fucking times in between buying that tape from some random band off the street in Chicago to hanging out with his nephew in his house this would have been 2005, so years later. So he pops it in. And I fucking fall in love with these tracks. I'm loving it. I'm like, this is so cool. It's dancey kind of. It's progressive. It's weird. It's jazzy. It's got sax, so much sax, and the fucking keys and the drums are they're doing these off-time fucking rhythms and shit. It's just blowing my fucking mind. And he says, you know what? Just take it. Just keep the tape. I'm like, are you serious? Hell yeah, thank you. So I take it home, and this was I was already jamming when I was that time. I was already smoking weed when I was that young, too. So that used to be my place to get high when I was living at home with my parents. We had a bathroom with a window, so I'd just start up the shower and just smoke a bowl and just blow it out the window because the steam and then, the soap, and you could spray air freshener when you were in there, and you'd come out and blazed out of my mind. But I also I had a tape player, a CD tape combo on the counter in the bathroom, so I would put on Invisible Gus, turn on the shower, sit on the toilet, light a bowl, blow it out the window, and then proceed to just lay in the shower and let the water just pour over me, and I was just on another fucking planet. It's like the opposite of one of those sensory deprivation tanks. It's like sensory overload. Like, whoa, God, you got like hot water pouring on your 15-year-old stoned body while you're jamming some weird, also poppy, but weird, cool, awesome fucking synth music. So it's just, there's so much going on. And I used to do that all the time. I have jammed that tape so many fucking times. And then as I got older, I had a friend. We'd cruise around in his car, and he had an older car, so he had a tape deck in his car. So I would bring the tape, and we'd pop it in the tape deck, and we'd jam out, and we'd drive around, and we'd smoke cigarettes, or I don't know, we probably did some other stuff while we were driving too, but he fell in love with the band too. He loves Invisible Gus. Invisible Gus is the shit. This is why I was saying I'm not trying to be a hipster. This is some random band from the 80s. If somebody does know this band, please tell me in the comments. I would love to know that anybody else. I don't know how popular they were back in the day. You know, this was back in 85. You can't go back to their MySpace or their Zanga page or, you know, like from like the deepest corners of the internet. There's nothing. There was no, you know, widely spread internet at that time. So there's no way to look like old show flyers or anything. So he's really into the band too. So one day he decides to Google them. He finds their album is online. And I'm going to include that in the description. You got to go check this out. It's definitely got a nostalgia factor for me, but I think the music still to this day when I put it on, I still like it. It's complex. It's really good. But I mean, you won't be hearing it from some magical gym bag that was buried in your uncle's fucking attic for 20 years, you know, so it might not have the same effect that it did. Also, you're not 15, or maybe you are 15, I don't know, but let's check it out. I'm excited to listen to it again. It says, all composition and lyrics, copyright 1986, I was off a year. Joseph Hazewicks Jr., Michael Kent Smith, Robert Allen Reese. So that's who wrote the album. And I started jamming it a little bit, and then I said, I should, for the video, you know, I should put the camera back on, but I was listening to Hold Out Your Hands. That's a definitely a favorite between me and my friend that like to jam this album. But the full track listing is track 1, In a Small Room, track 2, Hold Out Your Hands, track 3, Change At Will, track 4, Atrocities in the Garden of Eden / Way of the World. Atrocities in the Garden of Eden, that's a weird song title, but it's an instrumental song that is fucking weird. And Way of the World is super catchy. Words Once Said, that's I think that's more of an upbeat one. Cameroon is like fucking weird as hell. It's like, it's almost like makes me think of Pet Shop Boys in the way it's just kind of like poetry, but it's not dancey. It's just kind of like spoken word with synth underneath, and it's really creepy kind of. But it's kind of calming too. New, that's a really good, like, deep, kind of emotional, kind of just dreamy kind of song. Understand, let me get a little taste of that one, because I don't remember that one by the title. Oh, okay, this one's like a super cheesy, like, corny fucking bass line right in the beginning. It brings in this super cheesy guitar. This was probably, like, this song's pretty good. It seems like somebody else is singing this song. It's probably my least favorite song on the album. Yeah, honestly, I don't really like this one that much, of all of them. But then The Children Beg to Fly, final track on the album, and that is a super dreamy, like, oh man, it's fucking, let me get a little sample of it here. Oh shit. Okay, internet's working again. Oh yeah, the synth comes in, it's like that airy, and then the soft fucking... Oh, I haven't listened to this shit in fucking years. But every once in a while it pops in my head, and my friend found this website, he's got all of his music, and then the piano comes in. It's like an electric piano, kind of got like a chorusy kind of sound to it. Oh. And the vocals, which is funny, because I was thinking about this before I made the video, like, I always remember the vocals were a little bit off. Like, I loved the melody, but the way he sang it was just like, you know, they could have tuned it up a little bit, like, in a modern studio, or even maybe in an older studio too. I don't know what the technology was back then. But that's just... it's exactly like my music. Like, I love the... or the way I feel about my music. I love the melodies that I write, but I'm just never able to sing them quite perfectly. I'm not ever, you know, it's always a little haggard, and I'm not that good, and I don't really want to use auto-tune, but I'm thinking about trying to learn it. But I've always been the type of person, when I hear a song and I just hear the melody, and it might be a little off on the recording, or if someone's singing it live, they didn't like quite hit the note, my mind always just fills in the gaps. Some people are really, really like, oh, you know, turned off by like just a little bit of haggardness, but I played in punk bands for fucking, I don't even know, probably 15 years, and all that shit sounds haggard as fuck, but there's a beauty in some aggressive punk music, and there's actually a lot of emotion there sometimes they're just pouring beer out and like screaming about drugs and like sex or whatever, which is cool too, like whatever, but I like deeper lyrics usually. So let me hear In a Small Room a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of give my quick thoughts on the songs and kind of give you my reaction to hearing them for the first time in a long time. So I'm starting In a Small Room right now. Yeah, and this bass line is sick too, and the vocals come right in.
In a small room, it's a dark night, such a small dream.
I'm not gonna try to sing too many lyrics because I don't remember them all. That fading, that might be a guitar. You might be hitting the chords and then slowly bringing the volume up, or it might just be a pedal or an effect or something. Drum fill?
There's a big price for a
It's a good track. I'm gonna move on. That's a little bit of In a Small Room for you. Hold Out Your Hands. I'll continue, or you know what? I'll start it back over because I was listening to it and then I was like, I should actually, if I'm gonna be making a video, I should be. Oh no, yeah. That is a great fucking melody. Oh, damn, dude. It's like, it doesn't get old. And the funny thing is I've been feeling kind of uninspired the last like few days, and I needed something to kickstart me. And I know this is gonna do it. I just downloaded all the songs. You can download all these songs on his website, and I'll definitely leave the link in the description. You can download them. You just scroll to the bottom of the page, and it's all free. Yeah, this song, the vocals were always a little bit off. But they're so good. Like, the melody is there. You don't need the perfect fucking recording, in my opinion. But I know that's probably something most people disagree with. But this fucking melody comes in right here.
I'll hold out my hands and reverse the ground.
Oh, there it is. I'm trying to like jam along, but I'm fucking it up. And this chorus is fucking awesome.
Hold out your hands.
Got that fucking arpeggio. It's so good.
Hold out your hands.
Alright, let's go to Change It Will. Oh, and this is an instrumental track. Jazzy, weird. The beat is like, listen to that fucking, first off, that ride sucks. Like, that's such a processed, like, fake ride, but I don't give a fuck. I like that drum, that fake drum sound sometimes. This part comes in right here. What the fuck? This is amazing! I'm gonna leave it there because I'm gonna jam the fuck out of this later, and I don't want the camera on me when I'm jamming this because I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm gonna be into it so hard. Starting in the atrocities. This reminds me of Battletoads like a motherfucker. If anybody knows that Battletoads soundtrack, hit me up in the comments. Almost said Battletoads. Battletoads in Battlemaniacs. Listen to those fucking drums. That synth on top of it. And this one's like instrumental until it gets to Way of the World. Oh! Oh my god! I'm gonna have to leave it there on that one too. Oh my god, I'm gonna jam that so fucking hard. But you gotta get further into that one because vocals do come eventually with Way of the World. But you gotta get to that. So I'm gonna start Words Once Said now. There's always like a weird thing on the recording there. It's like it like skips for a second. Oh no, that's guitar right there. God, that fucking distortion is horrible. Skip ahead. Oh yeah.
We need space and time to grow. We need a place to call our own. We need a key to a door that never needed locking before.
What a weird fucking. Oh my god. Alright. Let's check out Cameroon. This song was so fucking weird. So atmospheric. I love that. I love making music like that too, where it's just like noises and shit for a long time. I like trying to add that into a song. I'm chilling now.
Bed of spotted soil from above. Silence and mourning hide the lake. The reward water couldn't stop. Your yesterdays were beauty and balance. All give and no take.
Kind of weird. Let's go to new. We only got a couple others here. Because I already listened to Understand. Oh, dude, that fucking like harpsichord-y kind of synth. What a great progression. Oh, one of my favorites for sure.
You've grown with the new pain and find yourself back at the beginning again.
I'm gonna stop it right there, and I have to address something. I've always wondered if this guy is from England or the UK or something, or if he's just LARPing that accent. It works, and people do that sometimes, but I've always wondered. I don't know. I've never met him. So I already listened to Understand. We're going to listen to a little bit of The Children Beg to Fly, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Oh, fuck me. I love this. Oh, I can't wait to jam this later. Because I'm going to jam it. Like, this is just a taste. I'm gonna smash this fucking album later. It's a little bit of those vocals, real soft. This was an album. I'm assuming these guys are from the Chicagoland area. He just said Suburban Dreams. It's written where I'm from. It's the same emotion. I know what you're feeling. That feel when. I know it. I'm gonna fucking leave it there because you really need to just go. I don't know. I would say support these guys, but I don't know I don't even know if they're alive anymore, you know? I don't know if they talk to each other anymore. I know this band is not a thing anymore. You just have to go listen to it and share it. That's the only way to support them, I guess. What a weird concept. Like, I would never expect that, say, I sold a demo to somebody, and then 20 years later they show their nephew, and then 15 years after that, they decide to make a YouTube video about how much they love the song. Like, how fucking cool is that? Like, if I could get in touch with these guys, it'd be great to do an interview or something, you know, or just talk to them about writing the album, get a little backstory. Like, how full circle would that be? That'd be so great. Wow, that was really fun, actually, to go back and hear that shit again. It's definitely been a few years since I've listened to it. You know, every couple years I'll check in on it and just be like, fuck, I forgot how good this shit is. But it's never just been on my playlist all the time, you know? But yeah, final thoughts. Huge inspiration on me and my music for sure. Like I said, it's a weird thought that you could have such an effect on somebody. Like, that album had a huge effect on me musically, and I just genuinely enjoy listening to it. I feel like my life has improved because of that album. But this is a band that never went anywhere. They, as far as I know, maybe the guy found, or the guys had a career in music of another vibe or another style, you know. And I hope that they did. But it's just weird to think that you can have that much of an effect on somebody and never know it. So I would like one day, if it would be possible, for them to know how much I love this album. So that's kind of the point of this video. And also to share how good this fucking album is. Now, what would be really cool is if I was sentimental enough to have kept that tape that my uncle gave me. Like, this was like 15 years ago. That would be really cool. That would be really cool.